In this segment, we will be discussing administering users and features. The common tasks that we'll be describing here today will be setting up call forwards, setting up SIM rings, changing the company directory, and other things that are typical for a day-to-day administration. So to begin, we will go to our user portal here in the system status screen, and everything that we touch today will be under the users button here to the left. Okay, so this company is set up like a typical company. It has several users with their own extensions. Also, there is a main line, which is also set up as a user. So we're going to begin with one of the users by clicking on their Show Features button. Here we could see the features that are common and available to most users on the system. There's call forwards, there's simultaneous rings, and there's Do Not Disturb, for example. As a brief description of each of them and how to set them up, the call forward option sends all calls directly to the destination number. And so when the call forward is enabled, it won't ring the phone on the desk, it will instead ring the destination. A couple examples are to set up a call forward to an extension, you would type in the 4-digit extension. To send the call forward to a cell phone, you type in the 10-digit extension of the cell phone, 10-digit number of the cell phone. Don't include any dashes or parentheses when typing in the cell phone number. Call forward no answer, after a timeout sends the call to the destination number. The timeout can be configured. Default is 20 seconds. So in this scenario, the phone will ring for 20 seconds and then the call will be forwarded to, for example, a cell phone. The forward not registered option is very handy. It's used for emergencies or for outages. For example, if the power is out in your building. When the phone loses its registration in that case, calls will be immediately forwarded to the forward not registered number. As soon as the phone comes back online, the forward will be turned off. Simultaneous ring, as we call it SIM ring, will ring all phones in the group at the same time. In this example here, we are ringing this device, and the cell phone at the same time. I want to make it clear that for SIM rings, we use the device name. For forwards, we use the extension, the 4-digit extension or the 5-digit device name. And so if we want to SIM ring 2 Polycom phones at the same time, we will SIM ring 6002W and 6002H, for example. Do Not Disturb sends all calls to this user for voicemail. So Do Not Disturb overrides all of the settings above and sends calls immediately to voicemail. To set up these features on the user, all we have to do is change. So for example, 6001 has requested that we add their cell phone. We click the change button, 952, and then click apply once done. That went fast. I'm going to do it again with the call forward. They're gone for the weekend. They want to set up their call forward. So 952. And the other thing to add here is the user control setting is what turns it on and off. So the user wants it enabled, and so we click the enable button and click apply. To remove the call forward, we'll go back in and click the disable button and click apply. And the settings aren't displayed until you click the refresh button. That's common to know too. Just to get a little bit more detail here, we're going to look at some of the typical settings of the main line. And before we do, I just want to, this company is set up typically of most of our companies. So for the main line, they want it to ring a group of phones, and then they want to decide day or night. During the day, the calls will go to an auto attendant. At night, the calls will go right to one person's voicemail box. And so this is the call flow that we're setting up, or is currently set up. And so back to our screen, the main line also has a Show Features button. And so here you can see the first part of the call flow is the SIM ring. And so it rings all 4 devices in the company. Notice that 6000 is not included. There's no device named 6000, so that's not necessary. So it rings all 4 devices. The W's mean work phones. 6004 also has a soft phone, so we've included both of their extensions for the main SIM ring. Here we see some example of time of day routing. And so prompt 9 is our cue to send the calls to an auto attendant. And as they requested, they wanted calls to go to an auto attendant during business hours, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And so just to see where that is set up here in this time of day from and time of day to setting. If they want to close early one day, we can change this, scroll down to 3 or 1, for example. In this setting, they wanted calls to be, voicemails to be left on the 6001 user. And so they have all 4 of these phones ringing for inbound calls, but 6001 is the user that is answering the voicemails when they come in. 86 is our keyword for voicemail. 86, if you look at your phone, stands for VM. And so in this case, it sends it to the voicemail of 6001 directly. 6001 doesn't ring, it goes right to its voicemail. The other thing I wanted to point out here is this is a very typical setup for us. They want it to, so during the day, the calls go to the auto attendant, but then all other times, calls go right to the voicemail. So the more specific time of day route overrides the general forward no answer option. Finally, this user is set up inexplicably to send all calls to a forward number on November 24th. And so that is set up in the day of year setting. And so this we could set this up well in advance or years in advance even. So we could set up, this is a typical holiday setup. And so as of November 24th, this feature will become enabled, and then once November 24th is over, the forward will become disabled. And so that's how we set up Thanksgiving for this customer. Last thing we're going to show in this video is how to change some of the basic user settings. For example, if you have moves, adds, or changes in this company. To change the user settings, notice that the user's extension here is a button. And so we could click on the 6001 to modify Tom Hansen. The settings that we're going to look at today most involve changing names and passwords, their timeout. You can also adjust how they look in the directory. So first name and last name are pretty self-explanatory. The PIN is the password they use to access their voicemail. Their email address is the email address that will be voicemails will be sent to if that option is enabled. Department is not used by most of our customers. Directory match is the 3-digit combination if the user is in the dial by name directory of the auto attendant menu. 287 should line up with HAN. The directory announce and directory list are also things that you'll want to change for moves, adds, and changes. Directory list, we're going to start with that, this populates the telephone directory. So if you have an automatic telephone directory, if this user is set to no, it won't appear on your phones after you reboot. And so you could set it to yes and then reboot your phone, and you should download the new user. Directory announce no. This is for the dial by name directory. So list is written, announce is spoken. So that's how you know the difference. Announce means it won't be, so right now he is not currently included in the dial by name directory. If you notice, we don't have an option to turn him to yes. That is because his voicemail isn't set up yet. And so once Tom sets up his voicemail, he will be automatically added to the dial by name directory. The last thing we're going to look at in this screen is the directory no answer timeout. And that is currently set to 20 seconds. Some users will want it faster, some users will want it to take longer. 20 seconds is about 4 rings, or there's 1 ring every 5 seconds in most phone systems. And that concludes administering users and features.